Good morning, it's Christine again, and I'm back having completed my Roxy Journal of Stitchery Christmas block with the prompt of a vintage image, or in my case I've used vintage images. So I wanted to show you how my fabric book has ended up and how I've then mounted it onto the block of fabric and added a range of embellishments. So let's start with what you immediately see on the block. So I've added some beautiful vintage crochet and lace embellishments over here. This was the one that I tea dyed. These are also tea dyed, just a slightly darker colour. I'd done these earlier. I've got a ribbon across the top, which I liked because it had the bird element to link in. I've got some little Suffolk puffs or yo-yos, which are actually really easy to make, and I've used vintage fabrics for them, so they've got a lovely feel to them. I like to make them really, really tiny, like these ones, because they make a really delicate embellishment to put on the page. I've added a button, which is stitched to the backing, and that's going to be the button that keeps my little book closed. And then down the bottom, I've added two of the French laundry labels. I've actually spelled out a word with them, and I quite like doing that. So one of my other pieces, I spelled out the word love. And I think I also put an if as well, because it was a bit of an imaginary piece as well. This one I've spelled out home on it with the H-O and an M-E. The backing fabric is a beautiful piece of cotton from the Sewing Lair, which I mentioned earlier, is a great online op shop that specialises in fabrics and haberdashery type items. So let's show you what my book looks like inside. So you open the string, and that's just a piece of baker's twine, which is really cost effective and affordable to get. So I've just tied that up and then open up the book. Just move that across. And so I've stitched down the back of the book and left the front so it can open up. Something handy if you are putting it together is I actually, when I've stitched the front page here, or not the front page, but the fabric that's at the front, stitched onto the white backing, I just used a little tacking stitch or a long tacking stitch around here. And it made it quite easy when I then stitched it onto the page, because I could actually just stitch onto the backing white fabric without having to stitch through the actual book itself. The other option would be that you could do an extra stitch of going around if you wanted to stitch it on that way. I've also left a little fun feature here, which is a little pouch. At the moment I haven't put anything in there, but potentially I could put some of the recipes for some of these items, although a lot of the items I actually just make by memory now, but I could write them down, and then that way they could be kept for the future. So what else would I like to show you here? So again, I've just stitched down the spine of the book, I guess you'd say, or down the middle of the book here to attach it to the page, stitched along here and stitched along there. If you didn't want the pouch feature, again, you could stitch along this side. And again, it's just handy because, yeah, you've got a place to do the understitching and keep it invisible. So that is my little Christmas book. And I hope it gives you an idea of how you can actually make your own concertina books really easily, just with a strip of fabric, as I showed you, and then you can add as many pages across the length of it, and then basically just folding it concertina style, you'll be able to put together your own book, which could be a standalone book, or it could be something you attach to a panel or a block like this one. So have a wonderful day or night or afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in to watch my first video, and I hope to see you on here soon. Bye everyone.